Hello, this is Ami Diamond. In this episode, I'll give you some training and tips, 15 ways to improve productivity when working in SharePoint, Microsoft or Microsoft List. So, as we all know, we can go to Microsoft List through the app launcher, and we can create a list either from as a custom blank list or from Excel or from the existing or using the templates. So let's create just a blank one. And the first thing you see here, we can define where will the list be stored. If it's a personal one, that will be stored in your OneDrive, or is it one that will be in a site. So this is a first step. You need to decide where do you want to do it. If you save it on a site, then whoever has access to the site and to the list will be able to work. You can then modify the permissions. In this case, I will choose a site. I'll create it. Now what we have here is actually the possibility to add columns, but we can also, so let's create multiple columns. One will be description and other will be a choice. So these metadata are actually things that describe the task or the item that we're going to do or going to use. So I created an option. I have some columns. Now I can use the edit grid. Edit grid is actually a quick way where you can enter information just like Excel. So instead of opening form, we could by clicking the new button, we can just enter the data. See, I can type, and if it's an option, then I can choose. So this is a fast way to do it. Now what we can do, so we can add new items, we can create actually within the grid view, and we can also even copy and paste. So I can mark this, do Control C, go to the next, and I copied it. What we can do is also to drag, just like Excel. If I go to the bottom corner, I can drag the value. I can mark multiple columns or values, and then I can drag it. Let's see if it works. In this case, it doesn't work that much. So I can do it this way. What we can do in addition is to format your columns and views. So you see that automatically this column has some formatting, but if I go, for instance, to this column and I go to column settings, I have format this column. So actually here it lets me define some condition, so I can actually delete it and add a rule that says if the description is or is not is equal, for instance, SDDS, then color it in blue, but I can also choose a different color, and I will save. And in this case it doesn't make some sense. Let's do AAA. I'll save it and close it, and I will edit and say AAA. So you see it's based on the in the status. Actually, you see if I go, I have two possibilities, either to choose the background or is the choice field. If it's a number, let's create a number, call it the column cells, now I can go to the column settings and to format either according to a condition or by a data bar. So you see, I say if the minimum is 10 and the maximum is 20. So to save it, and let's enter some values, 11 and 25. So you see here, actually it shows the bar. So based, and if it's a date, then we can also format it. In addition to the column, we can format the view. So if I go to all views and I choose format current view, you can see I can define alternative style, or I can do some conditions. For instance, add a rule: if the column status is new, then mark the whole column or whole view to a certain color. Okay, so after we formatted everything, what we can do is to use the filters. See, currently I see the cells and the description. I don't see the date. If I want to see the date in the filter, so I can just show you how I can use these filters. If I want to add a column that is not in the filters, I can go click on the arrow of the column settings, and pin to filter. Now you see, I see for the date I have some kind of possibility to filter. So the tip is, go to the column settings and pin. If you want to unpin, you can do this. Next topic is creating views and grouping. So as you see here, I can let's say I'll change this with the status, and so now I have one item 4 is with the status new, and item 5 is with the status old. If I want to group it, I can click on the arrow, click on group. Now it's creating like a grouping for each thing, and I can now go and save the view with a different name. Let's call it group by status, and now I have it here. What we can do in addition, we can have the button where we can create a totally new view, and here we have 3 possibilities. One is a list like we did now. Second is a calendar. So let's see how we do it, but we need to give it a name. If we choose a calendar, it asks us which column will we use for the date, for start and end. If we do that, it will take the information and show the items as a calendar. As we don't have any values now, then we don't see anything. But if I go into grid view and put some dates, we'll open a calendar, and we will be able to see it in the calendar view. Let's see. When was that done? Let's see. One is from the 9th of 11th, 13th. November 13th. Okay, so we should see it here. We don't see it here. What's the reason? Let me check that. Okay, the last possibility when you create a view from scratch is to use the gallery view. It shows all of the items in cards. So you see here we have 2 cards. What we can do here is to format the current view. We have a card designer which we can decide which columns do we want to see. We can move them around. We can decide if to show the headers of the columns, and yep, that's it. Okay, next thing is alerts. So there's the classical way of how once we could use alerts, we would go to the 3 dots, click alert me, and then we would see the name of the alert, who to send it, on what changes, and how often. What we have in Microsoft List now is the possibility to make rules. So it's under automation. We can create a rule, and these are the possibilities that we can do. So we can either define when a column is changed. If a column value is changed, that means not only if it changed, but if a certain value has changed to a specific value. If something was created, we'll get a notification, and if something is deleted. Just to show you this one, so we can define when we can choose the column. When the status, let's say, is closed, we will want to send it to someone. As you saw there, we can put several emails or names, and you could even do it to the sender. If I can see, you could choose by the creator, the modifier, or even me. So when I created it, now I see this, and it will work. You can also have here actually manage rule, where you can see all of the rules. So this is the notification. Tip number 6. Actually, what we could do is, for some columns, we can define that people can enter multi-values. So if I choose a column for a person, let's call it person, I could choose here first of all, we can define if the picture will show, and we can allow multiple selections. That means that we can enter more than one value. So if I go and want to enter information, I could put Alex, and I could put Megan. So it's entering 2 values in the same item. And actually, if I can search, if I add it to the filter, I could also search, for instance, even if I choose Megan, it shows the 2 selections. We can decide actually which columns will show in the form. So if I click new, these are all of the columns that are here. But what I can do is actually go to this arrow, and I have here edit column. I can choose here which columns I want to see. So I can, for instance, I don't want them to see the date and the sales. If I press save, next time I enter, I need to refresh. I don't see them, you see, because I hid them. In addition, here what we can do is we can do conditional format. What we could do is actually put a condition that says if one column is equal to something, then show. Example for this we can see here in the link that they show. So if I put if this column is equal something, then show it or not. So let's try to demonstrate that. So in this case I would put it here and I'll change, so I can say if the status is equal to new, then show it. Okay, you see that it became gray, but that means that so only when it's new it will show the cells. I'll close this, I will refresh. Let's see. So you see currently the status is if it's new. Let me refresh again. So you see here, because I chose new, now I see the cells. But if I change it to something else, to closed, it disappears. So this conditioning works, you see. Okay, let's go on. We don't have time. What we can do actually is, as you see here, it's also possible to add some comments. We don't see the comments here, so I'll show you it later. If I click here, we can configure the layout. You need some knowledge in JSON, but it's possible. There's a link here actually where you can copy some ideas that show how to configure the form for the header and footer. This is an example how the header can work or be configured, how the footer and the body. So here you can change between header, body and footer, and enter here the JSON. Let me see. There should be also a comment thing here. If we don't see it, we can go to the settings and we can go to the advanced settings and check why don't we have the comments. So the comments is actually turned on. So I'm not quite sure why it's not showing it. Let's try again. No, it's not showing it. Okay. Okay, so what we could do is actually, if the features, we can click on the three dots and we can actually do version history. Just like in document libraries, if I did some changes on this item, I can see what are the changes. I can decide if I want to delete it, restore it. So this exists. What we can do in addition, we can export this whole list to Excel or to CSV. Let's export it to Excel. Yeah, we see. By the way, notice that when we exported the people column, it adds all kinds of hashtag 10 and 11. That's not really nice, but this is how it is. But all of the data is here, and then we can do anything we want later. Okay, some automation. So as this is part of the 365, the Power Automation can support us. So under the integration, you will see we can connect to Power Apps and Power Automate and create a flow or choose from the templates there. Because we have a date column, there are some out-of-the-box things we can do. So we have a flow that can send a reminder based on the date. If I do this, it will open up a flow that actually can set up all of the connections, and we can choose when a notification will be sent, how many days before. So this is the name. Let's say I want 30 days before this due date to receive a mail or all of the items. If I click create, it will activate the flow, and this is how we can do it. Let's see. By the way, if we go to integrate, we can create a flow, and then it will bring us, actually give us some templates, or we can choose for the full-blown Power Automate. Okay, last thing we can do, no matter if we can actually share the list. No, so this is not the one we wanted. We were working in the list. So as you see here, we can press share. In this case, I can share the whole library or a specific item. See, and then only the what we choose can be done. So this is actually the 15 ways to improve productivity when working with Microsoft List. Hope it helped. Give it a try and be brave. Have a good day. Goodbye.